Well, hello random YouTube people. Has your AC unit stopped working? Is it blowing warm air instead of cold air? Is the fan spinning but nothing's working? Let me show you how to fix it. It's really quite simple. Stay tuned.
Subscribe.
I was able to replace the capacitor, which is the problem part in this AC unit, for only $13 from a piece on Amazon. Let me show you how I did it. It's really quite simple. The capacitor is usually the problem when the AC unit's not cooling anymore. It's really simple. It takes like 10 minutes if you have all the parts. So let me show you how to do it. We have a problem. Our upstairs AC unit is not cooling. It should be going down to 72, but now it's up to 80, and the AC unit has been running for 2.5 hours. So we need to fix this problem. The fan is working. I can feel air blowing out. And it's cool air, but it is not cold. There's no way this temperature of air is going to bring down our upstairs to 72, which it should be. We need to get this fixed right away. The fan is blowing, and it's blowing kind of cool air out. It should be blowing hot air out if it's sucking the hot air out of the house. So something's wrong. These coils don't feel cold at all, and they should feel cold. They don't. So we probably have a problem with the capacitor. Let's open it up and figure it out. But first what we need to do is cut the power. Here's the power line coming from this unit. This is the upstairs unit right here. So let's go ahead and flip this panel open. All right, and so this big huge plug, we're just gonna pull it. There we go. And now the fan is slowing down. This unit is off. So on your AC unit, there should be some kind of panel here. Sometimes it has the warnings on it. This is gonna be where our capacitor is. I've got 5/16 wrench. I'm just gonna undo these bolts here. Now let's try to remove this panel. I'm just pulling slightly and it's coming off. Just set that aside. Ooh, this looks beautiful. Look at all these spider webs and things. But this is our capacitor. This is probably the one that has the issues. And we're gonna test this out, see if we get any readings on this at all with our multimeter tool. But first, I'm gonna clean up a little bit. There's a lot of spider webs and dust, so I'm taking my leaf blower on a low setting and just blowing really slowly, getting this area a little clearer, better to work in. Before I do anything, I'm gonna take my screwdriver and kind of just like discharge some of the electricity that might be built up. If you'll notice, look right here. Look at this wire. Let me get a closer up shot. Can I get in there? Look at that wire. That's probably our problem right there. We'll still test the capacitor over here, but look at this thing. It's not even attached anymore, is it? Yep, it's not. So like the capacitor's not even getting any power from this cord because this cord is just annihilated. This needs to be replaced. Got to figure out what kind of wire this is. But this capacitor should probably be replaced anyways. There's some corrosion on these terminals and everything looks really pretty nasty here. But let's go ahead and unplug these and figure out if we have any activity in this capacitor at all with our multimeter tool. So I went upstairs and I got a toothbrush because you can't see some of the words here. There we go. So Herm stands for Hermetic capacitor, I believe. And then we have over here, like C for common. And so this one's gonna be the fan. The brown is the fan. I don't know if you can see that. My toothbrush can't get all the way back there. But that's the fan. So we got the Herm, the common, and the fan right here. First, of course, I'm going to detach the wires. Here's a better look at that thing. Look at this wire. Wow. I'm surprised that didn't cause any kind of fire or something like that. That's pretty scary, isn't it? But this whole wire needs to be replaced with the new fittings on each end. May as well pull off that old bad fitting, just remembering where it was on this section right here. That needs to be cleaned up as well. This area here too is pretty concerning. If you can see, it's got a lot of damage to this little terminal. Not sure if I can use the terminal on the back side, but that's kind of burnt looking. Not sure what happened. The fan still works though, guys. The fan still works. I'm just gonna go ahead and clean up some of this debris with my toothbrush again. After chatting with several HVAC people, they confirmed that I can use a different connection or terminal on the contactor. Even though it looks damaged, I can still use one of the other three. I couldn't get a reading with the multimeter that I had, so I got a new multimeter, and I'm going to show you how to use it a little later on, but for now, let's just go ahead and take off the AC capacitor off the AC unit. To get the capacitor off, there's this one little bolt right here. I'm not sure what size it is, so I'm gonna have to go grab my set and figure it out. So it looks like this is a 1/4 hex bit. Let's get that thing off. Let's go get a better look at this on the inside and see if we can retest the capacitor on the inside where it's easier to get to. For now, I'm going to put this back on, but in the off position. This is how I pulled it off. You can see this reads on. We're gonna flip it over so we can read the word off. That's gonna mean it's off. This means on, this means off. Hopefully that makes sense. You just plug it back in, and then we're gonna shut this box for now. When searching for a new capacitor, pay attention to a couple of numbers. This one, for example, is a 40/5. It's also 440 volts AC. This one has a particular serial number on it. Just try to find one that matches what you have in your AC unit. I found the exact replacement capacitor on Amazon, and it's inexpensive, which is awesome, but it's gonna take several days to get here, and it's hot. So I decided to head over to the local do-it-yourself parts center. What better place to go to for a DIY guy than a DIY parts center for AC? Awesome. All right, everyone, I'm back from the AC parts store, and they told me on this wire that I took off this, look at that. This is what happened to the other end of the wire, but this wire says 1000 volts. I don't know if you can tell on that, it's kind of hard to read. 1000 volt moisture resistant, and it's an AWG wire. I went to Lowe's and I looked online and I couldn't find anywhere that sells 1000 volt 16 gauge wire. Well, I have been assured by the AC parts supply store and by other people that a 600 volt cable will work as well for an AC unit. So here's a 600 volt cable, and what we've done is cut off the ends, just made it to a good length, and then crimped on these little plugs on the ends. So you can see this is how the plug is on this existing wire. And this one just kind of has a little insulation cover on top of it. So we have it crimped that way on both ends. So this 600 volt wire should work just fine, even though this one that came off said 1000 volts. These little plugs look like this to begin with. So here's one. And you have to forgive my dirty fingernails. I am working on this AC unit right now, guys. So this is what it looks like, and you'll strip end just off a teeny section, probably just about 1/4 of an inch or maybe 1/2 an inch. And then you're gonna send the wire up through the hole, and then you use your little wire crimpers or your wire strippers to just crimp this down on. That's all you need to do to make a wire like this. All right. Now for the capacitor. So this is my capacitor, it's quite tall. The new one that I have is a little bit shorter and fatter. Either one is going to work. Because these capacitors are both 40/5s at 440 volts AC. I'm just gonna have to do a little bit of modification to make this fit on my existing AC unit. On the capacitor, on any of them, you're gonna see these things. Now there's dual capacitors, there's single capacitors. This one's a dual, meaning it has a Herm and a fan. And what does that all mean exactly? This one right here, you see a C, that's for common. That's where your common's gonna plug into from our contactor. And Herm stands for hermetically sealed compressor. And this is what one of your units, in the double capacitor, this is one of your units, the Herm, and then the fan is the other. Sometimes there's just one or the other. This one is a dual run. And what we're going to test is the Herm and the fan. So here we have an AC capacitor chart that I've written up. I'm going to leave this chart up here for a second in case you want to take a screenshot. This is really handy. I'd keep it around. So here is the brand new capacitor tester, or the multimeter that I got on Amazon. This I got for $19. And what you're looking for is capacitance, which is this one right here.
Now I know this works and I'm going to show you how it works, and this is a really cheap and inexpensive tool for this purpose.
What's also nice about this multimeter is you can test live circuits to see if they have power running to them. So I have it set to the live setting, and I'm going to go to an outlet and touch it, and you can see it's beeping at me. So this outlet's live.
If you go to the multimeter and you click on, if you're on the capacitance setting here, and you click on function, it's going to change this to this little F. That stands for the microfarads that we're testing in the capacitor. In each capacitor, you're going to see the microfarad levels here. So for the Herm, we should be seeing 40 on this one. For the fan, we should be seeing 5. And you see it has this U and F. That's what we're matching here on the multimeter. So now on this older capacitor, I need to zoom in. All right. So now we're testing the microfarad level. We're going to go to common with the black, and then red. Now you might not be thinking it's working right away, but if you give it just a second, there we go. We get a result. Sometimes when you're doing this right away, I thought it wasn't working, but you have to give it a minute. And so we are testing out, whoops, I dropped it, at 37.9. So that's not quite 40, but we're gonna show you, is that in the range, yes or no? And then the fan, let's see, we should be in the neighborhood of 5. So we're gonna do the common. There goes resetting. We're at 3.7, so that's kind of low. So how do we know if that's right or not? So this capacitor is working in a matter of speaking, but is it working well enough? So this particular capacitor is the one that I took off of my AC unit, but technically speaking, this capacitor is still working, but is it in the appropriate ranges? Now let me show you. I've got a chart that I've printed out. I'm gonna have to zoom out. And this is going to talk about the capacitor. So we have a list of common capacitor sizes, the plus and minus 5%, plus and minus 6, and then plus and minus 10. So if we look back at the capacitor again, we're going to see that this says 40/5, if it will ever focus, 40/5, and this is a plus or minus 6%. So at 40 and 5, plus or minus 6% is in a working range. So if we come back to the chart, if we go to 40 and we go to the 6%, which is over here, at 40, we should be lowest at 37.6 and the highest at 42.4. So are we within this range, yes or no? Remember, 37.6, 42.4. We're really certainly not this high, so let's remember just this one here, 37.6. Is this capacitor in the 37.6 range? Zooming back in here for you. So again, we're taking our hot or our common, don't know why I said hot, common, and then into the Herm, and you have to give it just a second. So we're looking for 37.6, and so this is 37.9. So the Herm on this one is within the range. So the Herm is good. This capacitor so far is not necessarily bad, but it is getting really low, and the lower it is, the worse it's going to work, especially on the fan part here. Let's test that. Again, that was pretty low. 3.7. If we come back to our capacitor chart here, we have on 5 minus 6%, we should be at 4.7. So we're way low on the fan. So the fan portion of this is still technically working, but it's not working well. And that's going to cause your AC unit to use more power to spin the fan to try to cool the unit down. So it's not going to work nearly as efficiently. So even though this capacitor is working, technically speaking, I probably still would replace it anyways because the fan is too low.
If you don't have the chart in front of you, you can always just do regular math. This is 40 minus 6% of 40. So that's 40 minus 40 times 0.06 equals 37.6. And of course, if you plus 6% of 40 to 40, that's 42.4.
Let's test out the new capacitor we got on Amazon and see if it's within the ranges on these charts and see if it's better or if it's not. So again, opening up this box, this is the one we got on Amazon for $13.20. Same kind of thing. We have a common, a Herm, and a fan. So let's go ahead and test that out. I'm going to take my black and to go to the common. Technically speaking, I don't think it really matters which one's on which side, but just for ease of remembering, I'm going to put the common on the common and the red on the Herm, and let's give it a, whoop, spun on me. Kind of hard to do whilst recording. Give it a second. And this one's 39. It should be 40, so that's pretty dang good. The lowest on this one, according to the chart, for a 6%, the lowest we should be at is 37.6. So we are definitely fine on the Herm on this brand new capacitor. Now let's test the fan on this brand new capacitor. Here we go. Give it a second. 4.84. So the lowest again on the fan is 4.7. So we're at 4.84. So this fan is operating within the operating parameters, and it's working just fine. And this particular one is an exact replacement of the one that we just tested that I got on Amazon. It's a 40/5. It's got the 440 volts AC. It is the plus and minus 6%. They even have the same product model number and serial number, or maybe those are reversed. But this one is working better than the one we just took off, especially the fan. So that's how you can test with a multimeter to see if you need to replace your capacitor, to see if your capacitor that you have already is working.
So before we go install this new capacitor, I'm going to go ahead and write the date on here. It is May, so 5, and it's the 15th, and that's 2024. And this is, just to reiterate, this is a 40/5. All right, cool. Should I write my initials? Let's say DIY Bry. Why not? That was a really bad Y. I'm trying to write through the camera lens and it's not going so well. This is a special Y right there. All right, let's go install this. All right, we are back at the AC unit. Here's our new capacitor. So this is too fat to fit into this little loop here. So what we're going to do is take this one off and we're going to put in a new piece so that it will fit this fatter capacitor. So let's first take our 1/2" hex adapter to our little wrench here, or a screwdriver. Let's just loosen this all the way off. Right, we're going to keep that screw. So what we have is this galvanized strap. It's called a galvanized hanger strap, more specifically. And with these, you just get it to the length you want, and you're just going to bend it back and forth, and it's going to snap off. So I'm going to measure, probably off camera, distance around this capacitor so that we can get this mounted here. So we've got a distance that should work, and I'm just bending this back and forth like this, and eventually it's going to snap off. Just like that. So here's my custom little hanger bracket that I've made. And now just a matter of attaching this screw to the existing hole that we took it off from. All right, just give it a little spin there. So it's kind of away from everything else. That will work great. Time to rewire. Now, if you'll remember, the burnt up wire was connected to this terminal. You can use any one of these terminals. It's kind of what they're there for. So I'm going to pick one of these other ones over here that's away from the burnt up area, and you just take your new wire, and this is my wire for the common. It's going to go here, but I'll plug it into this port on the terminal, if you will, right here. And then I'm going to go to this port on the common. There we go. And the brown was for the fan. The fan only has one port up there. Make sure we're nice and snug. And then the last one is this blue one, which was for the Herm, and that connects over here. I'm going to pick this port right here on the outside edge. All right, that should be everything. Just to be safe, I'm going to put the panel back on for now, but let's go flip on the switch and see if everything works.
And you'll probably want to be smarter than I am and install the panel in the right way. I have mine upside down. Now going back to the power source, we're going to make sure our plug is in the on position. Remember, if you can read off, then that's off. If you can read on, it's on.
All right, I have no activity yet. Let's go turn on the inside and see if it works. Well, we have a sleeping baby in the other room over there. So you're gonna be quiet, but you can see this unit's completely off. So let's switch it to cool. That's heat. Cool. But you can see the target temperature is 74 and we're at 68.5. It's early in the morning, so let's knock it down a little bit and see if we turn on. Oh, I heard something. I can hear the fan is blowing again. You can hear. Now let's go back outside and look at the fan. There we go. Now the fan's spinning. Ooh, and now I feel some hot air this time. So it's, oh man. There is some disconnect between the app and the wall unit, and it's just not cool or not hot enough right now for this to stay on. So let's wait till later in the day. All right, I think I got the issue between the security system and the thermostat all figured out. I now have a target temperature of 67 and it is cooling. I hear the fan running. You can hear it from the return. And we've got some air ducts in here. And the air that's blowing out is significantly cooler than it was yesterday. So we are working, everyone. Getting cool air coming out of the bathroom vent as well. Ooh, and it's really noticeable in the office here. This office space is a lot warmer than the rest of the house because it's a bonus room. And I don't think they insulated the walls very well. Maybe we'll do another DIY on that. But the cold air coming out of the floor right here, super cold. You can tell that this is working great. Oh yeah, and back outside at the AC unit, this is freezing cold now when you touch it. We are working great. The capacitor's replaced, and that fixed the problem. Getting close to that target temperature. The temperature is going down. Getting closer. That's what she said. We are now at the target temperature of 67, but I still hear the fan going. So it might just be cooling it. Oh, right as I speak, it went off. No more fan noise. My son's sick, and the AC being fixed is going to be a godsend for that. So we all sleep upstairs, and now our upstairs AC is fixed. So stoked about that. And it was so easy. I'm so happy. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to click that like button, click share, and share it with all of your friends and family and anyone you've ever met or anyone you ever will meet. And remember to
Subscribe.
subscribe.